we go. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute and I was going to be doing a what's in my fridge video, but I think I'm going to save that as the thing that just happened that I want to share with you guys is more important. Still calming down from it, but yeah, so I watch a lot of NT, that stands for Natalia Taylor. And if you're a fan, you know she kind of calls out BS in the modeling industry. I am by no means a professional model like she is. Actually, I've never even been paid for a shoot. I do a lot of TF, which stands for trade for, and that usually means that I take photos to gain experience and to trade for photos for my portfolio, which, I mean, the ultimate goal is to land some paid gigs. Whew. But anyways, we're just gonna jump right into it. As far as like a little backstory here, I technically have 3 Instagrams. I have one Instagram, which is Aerial and Fitness, that most of my viewers are probably from. That is the one that I have the most following, the biggest audience. And then I have my Ariel and Jones profile, which is the one that I post more of like me, my family, my cat, my boyfriend, and then a lot of my modeling pictures that are not like fitness modeling. And then I have my 3rd one, which is my clients, all their videos and stuff. So here's where the story kind of starts. I have been trying to be a model since I was 18, and I am 24 now, about to be 25 this year. So it's been a while. And then I found there's actually a local model that he was a model in LA, and I would refer to him as my mentor, my modeling mentor. I've called him my manager before, and he actually sponsors my shows too. He owns a local pizza shop, and that's why I've like used the hashtag like sponsored by pizza before, because he owns the pizza place. But he has helped me a ton with my modeling career. He helped me find Model Mayhem, which is a site where models and photographers and different media and artists can all come together and do shoots together, whether that's paid shoots or trade for, so TF shoots. And that's how I get all of my shoots, TF shoots. I will post a casting call, and wherever I'm traveling to, like Columbus this past weekend, I post a casting call, connect with that photographer, and go to the casting call and get cool photos. And that's what I did this past weekend. And I always, like, speaking of what we're going to be talking about today, I always make sure that I bring somebody with me. I always have a chaperone with me, whether it's my boyfriend or a good friend of mine, whenever I'm meeting a photographer. And even the second and maybe 3rd times that I meet with that person, I always bring somebody, because you literally never know. I've watched way too much Discovery ID to not take somebody with me, so I always do. And yeah, that's the whole safety thing, because you never know who you're gonna meet. Photographers in a lot of cases are sometimes creepy, so and I hate to say that, because if they're watching this, like the ones that aren't creepy know that they're not creepy, if that makes sense. I like to take pictures of people, and I'm a little creepy myself, so if that helps. So as far as what happened just now today, which is why I'm wearing a different color lipstick, I'll kind of explain to you guys, I guess, my past with like scams. And as far as modeling goes, there's so much like BS that happens in the industry, and especially with women, especially with what my friend was just telling me about it. I just wanted to add to, like, to make people more aware of this, because I know when I was 17 and 18 that I dealt with it and I fell for it a lot. And I feel stupid as hell, because now there's a ton of the internet and people catfishing and all of that. So I'm going to go into a few of my stories as far as modeling goes and help you guys to kind of see through what's going to be a scam and what's not, and about the one that I wouldn't say it's a scam, I don't know what it was, but what just happened to me today. So we'll go into that. All right, and we're back with a new battery. So as far as scams and stuff go, I've been through a couple now. It started off whenever I was 18. I actually went to 2 different modeling agencies. I think that's what they would be called, in Columbus, Ohio. So these were, I had purple hair at the time. My aunt took me and wanted me to get into modeling. She was like a really big proponent in that, like pushing me to do it. I had zero confidence, a lot less than I do now, which is crazy. And we go to these places and, you know, I'm like all dressed up and trying to be cute and stuff. They like make you walk on the runway. They tell you all this stuff. And then at the end, they tell you that you have to pay a bunch of money to do their classes and then become a part of their agency, whatever. We weren't going to do that. We didn't have a lot of money. My parents were not going to pay for me to become a model when they wanted me to go to college and stuff. So that's where all of the like modeling dreams kind of started, I guess, because that kind of put it in my head. You know, my aunt had like, you know, thought that I could do it, and that made me think that I could do it as well. And then I actually met someone who is a friend of mine now, Mike, who is based out of Texas, who actually reached out to me on my fitness Instagram, and me and him talked about modeling a lot and often. He's a very good photographer, and I actually ended up working with him like 2 years ago now. He flew and was in town for work in Columbus. We actually met up. Again, I brought somebody with me to make sure. We had been talking for like all of these years, and then we met up and actually got a shoot together. So that was one that turned out to be not creepy, but could have been. Anyways, like right after that, I had a guy from, I don't even know if I could find his Instagram anymore. I had a guy from Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, that was I looked through his photos. They looked amazing. He had a public profile, which I can't even remember what it would be now. But he did photo shoots for beauty pageants and girls that did beauty pageants and stuff. And he would talk to me all the time. He messaged me kind of like Mike did. So, you know, I thought nothing of it. And he would tell me how he was going to fly me to Georgia and like pay for me to stay, all this. And I had a boyfriend that I just started seeing at the time. And he told me, like, this is a red flag. The number one red flag is whenever they tell you that you can't bring somebody with you. And he told me that I could not bring my boyfriend if I were to fly out there. So, and me being 18, I was like, oh, that's fine. Like, we just started dating. That's fine. Like, I want to be a model. So, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be a model. So I was going to fly my happy ass down to Georgia by myself to meet with this random dude who I had never met and didn't know if, you know, in my head I thought he was legit, but now looking back, he's a creep because of the things that he got me to do. And I mean, we'll keep going into it. So anyways, this guy was telling me he was going to fly me out there. I could stay on his couch. You know, there'd be other models there, so I wouldn't be uncomfortable. And then that's when he started asking for pictures. So he would ask me for different photos of myself. He started asking for less clothes. He started asking me to do weird poses. He started telling me how much Playboy models make and things like that. And yeah, so this guy, sorry, I get really weird about it because this guy manipulated me so much into thinking that I needed to be naked to be anything, to be worth anything. And that was the only way that I was going to be a model. So he did convince me to send him photos of myself, like compromising photos. And I have never told anyone about this. And I hope that talking about it kind of gets it out there for other girls. Because, you know, I've always been ashamed of it because I thought, hey, like I just turned 18, so like I'm an adult. Like I was, you know, I can't, you know, people are going to shame me for being so stupid is what I used to think. And now being 24 and it almost happening again, I realized that, you know, those type of people are just awful people. And yeah, I kind of blocked that out of my mind because it happened. I mean, it was going on for like a few months before I kind of like was like, what am I doing? Like, this is stupid. He doesn't have my best interests in mind. And I actually had talked to Mike about it and told him what was going on, and he told me to get the fuck out. He was like, that's not cool. This guy is not legit. He's like, he shouldn't be asking you for pictures. He shouldn't be telling you you can't bring your boyfriend to the shoot and all of this. And long story short, I think he saved me from putting myself in that situation, because who knows what could have happened if I would have flown down to Georgia without anybody. And he probably would have told me not to tell anyone where I was going. So, you know, who knows what could have happened. And I thank Mike so much for not letting that happen to me. We ended up becoming really good friends and shooting together later. So yeah, so if you, there's so many red flags, so many, and you realize them afterwards, which is how I'll get into this next one. So, and I've lost out. So here's another one. I lost out on a ton of money from another photographer because he told me this one was like 3 or 4 years ago. So I would have been like 20 or 21 when this one happened. And actually the photographer, he's Zook photographer. This guy was based out of New York and was telling me how much he wanted to shoot with me and that he was going to meet me in Ohio to shoot with me. But I had to pay him money, which whenever you do TF shoots, usually when a photographer reaches out to a model, they're doing a TF. They're not doing a, hey, shoot for me and you have to pay me, which is what this guy ended up doing to me. He told me that I could pay for it in 2 payments. He had been shooting with other fitness girls that had been doing shows, and actually one of them did the show that I had done, North Americans, and she said that he was fine, he was cool, whatever. So I paid this guy a deposit, and right around the time that he was supposed to be coming to Ohio to shoot me, he told me that that was not the plan, that I was supposed to come to New York, and that I wasn't getting my refund back. So instead of even saying like, hey, like, you know, we can figure it out, you can come to New York maybe later when you can, blah, blah, blah. He literally kept my money and fucked me. So that was that story. We'll get into this recent one now. Most recent thing that happened that just happened like an hour ago. So, I mean, you've probably heard of like people getting those like scam emails, and, you know, usually the thought is if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And this one, that's the first red flag that I should have noticed. But honestly, having this shoot that I just had in, Columbus, I was on like cloud 9 because they turned out so good. And I was so excited because I went out of my comfort zone. I did this high ponytail and like I was feeling myself kind of thing, and I texted my friend and I told him about this company that reached out to me, which will show them right here unless they blocked me. So the company is called AH Casting NYC. You can see this. Okay, they have no website, which is red flag number 1. Red flag number 2 is they reached out to me on my smaller account, which, I mean, I post modeling pictures of myself, but it's just weird that they would reach out to me there and not on my bigger platform, which is weird. So the first message that I got from them was on Tuesday, and they said, "Hi Ariel, are you currently booked up for any photo shoots on April 18th yet?" And I said, "No, I do have an event that morning, but I am free in the afternoon." And they said, "Okay. And just to be upfront, I'm still in the middle of the casting process for the shoot, so not trying to hire anyone on the spot just yet. Do you have much experience with non-fitness related modeling?" Mind you, this is my non-fitness page, so I barely have any fitness shots of me on this page, which should have showed me that they didn't even look at my Instagram. So I sent over my portfolio, and they asked how much would I charge for 4 hours of swimwear modeling. And I asked where the location was because that would obviously determine like what I charged. And then I also didn't want to sound like I didn't know what I was doing, so I texted Johnny, which is my friend that knows more about this. And I was like, hey, what should I charge them per hour? And he told me $50 per hour, around that. Oh, that sounds awful. So around $50. And they told me that it's going to be in Miami. Just to be upfront, I'm still in the middle of the casting process, so not trying to hire anyone on the spot just yet. But hotel travel expenses would be covered for the model selected and a chaperone. So I was like, Miami. And paying for Dylan to come with me, my boyfriend. Like, hell yeah, this sounds awesome. And anyways, they asked if I had the availability to do an audio call, and we ended up talking on the phone. I did not see this person. They didn't introduce themselves, which is another red flag. I didn't get their name until I just got off a Skype call with him. Anyways, told me on this audio call that I was getting $1,600 for the shoot, 3 paid nights in Miami with my chaperone, which was going to be Dylan. So I get paid $1,600 and I get free stay in the hotel and free airfare. And I'm from Ohio. And, you know, at first you're like, wow, like this is an amazing, like this is cool. And, you know, they keep telling you, this person kept telling me like, there's like 300 models I'm going through, so it's not a for sure thing. We're going to interview you. We just want to make sure that you're good for the part and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, like that makes it seem more real, right? That's what you'd think. And then so they ended up asking, like the other red flag to me was whenever they asked when I could do the Skype call. I'm very open with how my schedule works, doing mostly online clients now. So my schedule is very flexible. I'm mostly at home except for during late afternoons whenever I have my late clients. So I told them like I can do pretty much any time, like when's a good time for you? And they said after 6 o'clock on Thursday would be fine. And I'm like, okay, 6:30 works for me. And we said, okay. I get a random text or a random message today at 1:48. Hi Ariel, are you still available to Skype today? I said, yes, I am. They said, I'm available earlier in the day if that suits you any better at all. So this was also kind of weird because me in my head, I'm like, okay, if they're going through 300 models, how, I don't know, the time, this might just be me, but this was another like red flag. I'm like, it's weird that they are so available too, I guess, is what I was thinking. But that might be a real thing. Again, I'm not like super experienced in paid shoots or anything like that. So I was just like, whatever. We ended up Skyping. So during the Skype call, it ended up being 30 minutes long. And I think 20 minutes of it was me asking questions. So the way it began was I had on a sweater. Like I told me that it was going to be like an interview. So I dressed for the part. I had these big hoop earrings in. I did my hair normal, don't have extensions in. I went with a somewhat natural face, except for the lipstick, which is the second red flag. Maybe, I don't know. But anyways, I'm doing the call and they're like, okay, well, typically the interviewees like wear a bikini that's like either like a bandeau or something like that, and brighter lipstick, like a bubblegum pink or like something like that. And he told me, like, go change and grab 3 colors of lipstick and we'll pick one. So I grabbed 3 lipsticks. I got them sitting here still. And a clear lip gloss. And I was like, okay, like, that sounds right. Like, they just want to see lip colors on me. Like, that's fine. And then I caught him at one point saying something about, like, putting it on after I change or something. And I was like, that's weird. Like, I don't want to put it on while he's like looking at me. And that was the other thing, is during the Skype call, I never saw this person's face. They still hadn't introduced themselves. I had looked up AH Casting NYC, and it comes up an NYC company by these other 2 ladies and it is a casting company, but it's not this guy. It's a completely different logo. He doesn't even have a web address. Let's see if he's quiet now. He's not gonna be. But anyways, he doesn't even have a website or anything like that. And I put on, so I ended up hanging up, putting on my suit, I put on the lipstick, and then I came back. And he told me that he was going to rate me based off of like my posing and stuff, and that it couldn't be like fitness posing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like that makes sense. Like that's okay. So I had on this rider wear, like a little bit, this one's like less, like the straps on the rider wear, and then I had like a high-waisted like bottoms, and the first thing he tells me is like, that looks too much like fitness, like do you have anything like smaller? And I was like, that sounds like right too, like in my head, like, you know, you're like $1,600 like paid trip to Miami, like this guy sounds right, like I'm gonna change into a different bikini. So I did, and I changed into a top that I just wore at another photo shoot, a boudoir photo shoot, which ended up being, it was a video shoot. It's really cool. Hopefully I'll be able to post it here soon. And then some like bikini style bottoms that matched that like lingerie set kind of thing. It wasn't super revealing, probably about as much as like my sports bra, but changed into that. If anything, the only thing that was different is it was strapless, so it showed my collarbones more. He tells me to get into a pose, he's gonna look away, and then look back at me and rate me to see where I'm at out of the 300 contestants for this casting. And in my head, I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, that's so weird. Like, that's just weird. And anyways, so I did. I was super awkward about it. I like got into like a pose like this, and he's like, okay, 3, 2, 1. And I can't see him because his camera was turned off. So I just see myself awkwardly full screen on my phone, and he says that he goes, okay, 45. And I'm like, what? And he goes, you're in the top 45 for this like casting process. He's like, top 50 is pretty good, like, but we'll keep going through the interview to see where you're at, like, compared to everyone else. And this is when I started getting like, I started being like, what the fuck's going on? Because that's weird. Anyways, it kept going. So then he tells me to hit some different poses. He asked me what my top 5 like favorite things about myself were, and I named those off, like as far as like physical features. And then he said, okay, well, I'm gonna be rating, like I'll be seeing what mine are. I just wanted to see what yours were of yourself, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, like I guess that makes sense. And then he told me to get into, I'll kind of show you guys so you can get the real effect. So he tells me to stand like this and to pull my, because I had bikini bottoms on, he told me to pull them down and tilt my butt back so that he could see my muscles here. So I was like, oh, like, you know, he said muscles. So I'm like, okay. Like this guy was like saying the right things, like I guess, and like making it sound good. And that's how I know this, he probably does this to girls, and they probably go a lot further than I did. Anyways, he says, tilt your butt back so that I can see your like V-taper, and smile. I'm gonna look away and look back again and tell you what feature I see first. So, and I'm like laughing because I'm like awkward as fuck. And so he like looks away from what he's saying and looks back and says, left cheekbone. And he tells me that it's a 19 out of 20, and then to do it again, but this time like pull the bikini bottoms lower so you can see more of my physique. And so I barely did. Like I pulled him a little bit down and then pulled him back up, and he looked away, looked back again, and then told me he noticed my left smile line. You probably are at this point like, what the fuck, Arrow? Like, why did you not realize what's going on? And trust me, I did. I was starting to catch on, and I was like awkwardly like laughing, and he's like, no, like 4 more inches down, like pull the bikini bottom's like 4 more inches down. And I didn't, because I was weirded out. And then he tells me to pull the top down 2 inches. And I kind of like shifted it down and back up again. And I was just kind of like, okay. And he's like, and this is where he started talking a lot. So 20 minutes of this 30-minute phone call was him explaining to me how most models are very competitive. And when he says like an inch, they give like 3 inches because they want to get the spot and they know what it takes. And he's not going to hire a model that's going to be a deer in headlights for 30 minutes of a shoot if they get uncomfortable. And he's testing me to see if I get uncomfortable. And blah, 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 this whole long spiel about how pretty much trying to tell me that I'm inexperienced, that I'm not going to be a good model because I won't pull my shirt down to show my nipples. And then just making me feel like stupid, like so dumb. Like, I can't tell you how stupid I felt, because like I'm just standing there in like my bra and underwear, like awkwardly like staring into a screen that is me because I can't see this man. And that's whenever I started asking more questions. I was like, okay, so like what brand is this for? And he told me that he doesn't brand drop because the models that don't get picked will go on and like talk shit and stuff. And then I was like, okay, like I looked you up and I couldn't find your website, and I found some other like AH casting, and he's like, oh well, it's easy, like you weren't looking clearly if you didn't find mine because it's clearly 2 different logos, blah blah blah. And he kept going over explaining everything. He had an answer for absolutely everything I asked, and too good of an answer if you ask me. Most people would have like stumbled over it. And honestly, I feel like most people, if it would have been an actual interview, like I would have been wasting their time. 30 minutes of me asking questions and obviously looking like I was skeptical. I feel like a normal person would have just got off the phone. He did not. He kept going. He wanted to keep talking about himself. He told me he had 4.5 years of experience doing this. And he also, I finally was like, you never even said what does AH stand for? And he said, I'm pretty sure he said Aaron Hernandez casting. I think that's what he said. He said, that's my name. Like, I'm an independent consultant. I cast all the girls for like 11 different companies. It just depends on the company. And I was like, okay, why are you picking me in Ohio and Miami? Like, there's tons of models in Miami. And he tells me that, all of those models like have the same look. If they cast from all over the place, they get different looks. And I was like, well, wouldn't they save money like on hotels? And he tried to tell me that they'd make that money back like immediately because they have all these different looks and stuff. And at this point, I'm like rolling my eyes and kind of laughing, and he's still on the phone with me. And then he tells me he tried to, like, I think it's called gaslighting. I don't know. It's manipulative as fuck. Telling me that because I'm not experienced in paid shoots that I don't know what's going on, and that I just don't know how it is. Like, if he, and I quote, said that the interviewer is allowed to interview however they want. If you were interviewing for Google and Google asked like how many golf balls are in a school bus, and Amazon, you went and interviewed for Amazon, you're not going to be like, well, Google didn't ask me that question. And at this point, like you could just tell how annoyed I was, because no, you shouldn't be interviewing trying to get me to pull down my shirt. That's fucking weird. And then he tried to explain that one too. Whenever I told him that, yeah, I'm uncomfortable and that's weird, he tried to tell me that one time he booked a shoot with a girl and lost a lot of money because she had these like padded bras, and they went to do another shoot where she only had a shirt on and no bra, and it didn't look right. So he lost all this money and had to pay for another girl to come in. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And on top of that, like, so anyways, I ended up getting off the phone and cried for a little bit because honestly, I felt stupid at this point. I felt the same way that I felt when I was 18 and that guy got me to send nude pictures to him. I felt the same way. I felt stupid, even though I didn't get nude and I didn't show anything because I have gotten a little bit smarter. I still feel stupid and used and violated and just, ugh, because I know he has probably done it to other girls and got them to strip down and get naked. And that sucks. And I hope that this video shows other girls that they don't have to do that, that I will prove, and I know other girls have proven that you don't have to do that to make money or to become a model and whatever. And there's going to be those shady people, but as long as you stick to your guns and stick to your morals and what you want, then you don't have to do those things. And screw the people that want you to, because if you stick to your guns about it, then you won't have to. I've had photographers try to push me into, you know, like compromising like photos and things that I wasn't comfortable with. And if I say no and I stand strong in my nose and make sure I have my chaperone with me, they always make sure, like, you know, it's pretty clear that I'm not going to do certain things. So yeah, just sticking to your thing, sticking to yourself and what you want out of all of this, whatever you're doing, goes for anything in life, for real. If you stick to it, then, you know, and stay true to yourself, that's going to like be a lot better in the end than anything, instead of being uncomfortable and like doing things that you know you don't feel good about. So that's my story of today. I hope it helps someone out there. I don't know if this company is legit. If you've had any experience with them or anything like that, then you can drop it below. Even if they are a legit company, I don't want to work for somebody that's trying to get me to pull my top down and then tells me that I'm not an experienced model, because I won't. That's not the type of people I want to work for anyways. So yeah. Hope you guys have a good day. Share your stories below. I'd love to hear them. So